The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons. On today's show, we'll be talking about communications, particularly for individuals who have limited hearing abilities or the ability to read. We have a program called the Montana Telecommunications Access Program, which can help you or a loved one access the equipment to make communicating better, so stay tuned.
This is Bill. He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare Summary Notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
I've been shooting since I was young. It's something I've always enjoyed. I wasn't feeling like myself, but my friend noticed. He asked if he could hold onto my guns temporarily. At first, I was a little shocked, but then I agreed. I think he saved my life that day.
In 20 years at an electric utility, I've seen the hardships many of our neighbors face with high winter heating bills.
Ross Holter, Flathead Electric Co-op.
That's why I donate to Energy Share of Montana. I just hate the thought of senior citizens and young kids especially being cold in the winter. Donate to Energy Share. Help your neighbor stay warm.
To donate, call 888-779-7589 or go to EnergyShareMT.com. Energy Share, you can help your neighbor stay warm.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
Hi folks, welcome to Aging Horizons, which is brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Brian Lamore. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the Montana Telecommunications Access Program, which we'll refer to as MTAP from here on out, and how they serve Montanans with being able to communicate in a more efficient and easy manner throughout the state and throughout the nation. Joining us today is Mary Taylor. You're the director of MTAP. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Great. Well, let's start at the top. You know, this agency was designed by the Montana legislature. It's under the Department of Public Health and Human Services. But what was the original goal or idea in forming your division?
Well, it was started, like you said, as part of the 1989 legislative session, and that was a result of the ADA, which was a mandate that was sent out to require everybody to be able to use be able to have that capability to use phones.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that not just some people, but everybody, people with disabilities, are able to communicate through the telephone.
Through the telephone. You mentioned, I think it was 1988. Things have really changed in 20 plus years. So how do you meet that objective? How do you help individuals to communicate through the use of a telephone?
Well, we have a couple technicians that work with us in our program, and we go right into people's homes, and we set up phones that have higher amplification for people, or we have captioning phones where they can read the text on the phone. We offer some special devices for some people, like electrolarynxes, if they can't communicate on the phone. And then there's, of course, the TTY, which was one of the original things that people used. And then in some cases, we're able to provide cell phones, especially if people use sign language as their primary form of communication. So there's just a number and a variety of things that we do to make sure that whatever it is that they need, that they can use that to communicate through the phone.
Great. Well, I remember early on, we did a show about the TTYs, and we got them into all the agencies in the state of Montana. But tell the people what a TTY is and how it helps an individual.
Well, a TTY is a teletypewriter, and it actually looks kind of a lot like a typewriter, and people who are deaf are able to type the words in and communicate to other people who may not necessarily be deaf, or if they are deaf, and we use the relay service involved in that if you do need to communicate with someone who's not deaf, to be able to get that message across. So not a lot of people use the telecommunication devices in the original form as they were, but a lot of people do a lot of texting now on their cell phones.
Yeah.
So that's kind of evolving, but it's still out there, and there are some agencies that are actually required still in some cases to use those, especially things like public safety answering points, the 911 call centers.
Yeah, you have to have everything that's available. Now, you mentioned the relay, and the relay's been there for a long time, but for the people who don't know what the relay is, could you describe it better for me?
Well, relay is really a third person that's involved in a phone call to make sure that the person that is making the call is able to communicate with the other person. So when a person makes a phone call, there's a third person on the line that listens to that phone call and then relays that message so that the person who is deaf is able to communicate to the other person. So this service is offered through a contract that we have, and it's offered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So anybody who needs to use the telephone through relay is able to do that by dialing 711.
And that allows an individual who has some hearing impairment or communication impairment to actually communicate with another person by going through the relay.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's 711. That's kind of a state nationwide, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
But those people probably know all about that.
I would hope so, but we want to make sure everybody does know. So.
Well, you mentioned earlier that your services are available to individuals that are age 5+. I'm kind of surprised, to generalize, being older, I think that it's an older issue, not being able to communicate, but when you say 5, it brings in a lot more people, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and we want to make sure that it's not just hearing, but I mean, if there's people who have speech challenges or mobility challenges that are keeping them from being able to use the phone, that we make sure that we help those people, and sometimes those things happen at birth.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that we're able to help everybody who need to communicate through the phone, whether they be 5 years old or 100 years old.
Yeah,
So.
and we have an 800 number we can put up, but you're also on Facebook, and probably a TTY number to your place too. I don't know if we'll have that up, but when people call you, what are some of the first questions they might ask you about a loved one's ability to communicate?
I think some people just want to know partially, what the income requirements are, if there's a limitation on that, and we do have we do have an income guideline that we use, but it's based on 250% of the poverty level. So it's a pretty generous income requirement. So they want to know that. They want to know what sort of, how can they qualify. So they need to have they need to be hard of hearing, deaf, have a mobility or a speech challenge, and we usually have them provide the name of somebody that can verify that, usually a doctor or speech therapist, something like that.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, be a Montana resident, be a resident of Montana. And then just qualify income-wise and fill out the application. It's a 2-page application. It's very easy to fill out. So once they've done that, we can usually get back to them within a week or so, and we send them out a letter and let them know whether or not they're eligible. If they come into our office, sometimes we're able to do it all right there and get them all set up.
That's great. Well, we've drawn to a close on our first segment so quickly. And we have some more questions to talk about the Montana Telecommunication Access Program, or MTAP. It's available in 182 cities throughout Montana. They're serving about 1,500 clients right now. So this is a big issue, and it can come on with age, but as she mentioned, it can come from birth. We'll discuss that a lot more in our next segment, so stay tuned.
I was the last guy you'd expect to get diabetes. I was a competitive runner and I always took care of myself. So when I was diagnosed, it kind of threw me. But it's really encouraging to know I'm not alone with it. There are a lot of other people going through the same things as I am. It takes some effort. You have to keep after it. Exercise, meds, and diet are the key. But there are a lot of folks who want me to succeed. Diabetes is not the end of the world. With effort and attitude, you can have a normal life.
Are you looking for a helping hand through the maze of human services, or for information on government programs and benefits that you may qualify for? The Information and Assistance Program provides information on all programs that meet our aging population's basic needs and programs that enhance their lives as well as the lives of their families or caregivers. If you have questions about Medicaid, Medicare, or other services and programs, please call 1-800-551-3191.
Every generation produces heroes, men and women who step forward to defend our country in time of need, no matter the personal cost to themselves. And though we can never fully repay them, we can make sure they have access to low-cost, long-term care when they need it. That's what Montana's Veterans Homes are all about. If you've got a hero in need in your family, call us. We can help.
I take care of my wife at home. When I found out training was available, I said, sign me up. It's made a huge difference.
When my husband was injured at work, it was life-altering. The classes taught me that it's okay to grieve, to ask for help, and to better cope as a caregiver.
My dad lives 4 hours away, and the Powerful Tools classes taught me that it's okay to ask for help. I highly recommend them.
To find out about this course for caregivers, go to powerfultoolsforcaregivers.org.
It's amazing the difference a little training can make.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host Brian Lamore, and we're continuing our discussion about the Montana Telecommunications Access Program, which we'll refer to as MTAP, and we'll be talking about how you can access these services. Rejoining us is Mary Taylor. You're the director of MTAP, and we have an 800 number we'll be putting up during the show. Someone thinks that either themselves, they need it, or maybe a loved one needs it. They call the 800 number and the process starts. Tell us about the process.
Yeah, so when they call us, we can either guide them to our website where we do have an online application that they can fill out. And if they're comfortable doing that, they can do it right then, and then that application is reviewed by our staff, and then we make the determination of whether they're eligible. Or we can send them out an application if they prefer that, and once they get that application filled out, a letter will come back to them letting them know either way if they're qualified. And then shortly after that, we will be in touch with them to set up a home visit to meet with them, make an assessment on whether what kind of phone they need, which one would work best for them. And then we would go ahead and set that phone up for them, train them on the phone, answer any questions they have, program it all in for them. And then, that's not the end of our visit. Sometimes we come back again if something didn't quite work right, or they don't like the settings that they have. So our technicians are available to come back and train them again, or change any settings or fix anything. Right. So,
and in the break you showed me the application form. It's very simple, real easy to fill out. And there is an income qualification to receive some of your devices, but you'll offer these services to individuals who maybe are over it, because you want them to be able to communicate, right?
Exactly. So if they don't qualify income-wise, we do still go have a technician that would be willing to go out and make an assessment and tell them, show them what they think would be the best for them. And if they go ahead and purchase that item, then we can come out and install that item for them and train them on it. So we really want to make sure that even if they don't qualify, that they still get services that they need to be able to communicate.
Now, a lot of people that are watching, they're probably thinking, well, that's just a special telephone, but your devices, you have a lot of different devices to help people communicate in various ways. Can you tell us what they are based on the individual's needs, because it's not just a ring phone?
Yeah, so one of our most common phones that we do give out is just a simple amplified phone. And we can give out a cordless phone, which a lot of people use those more than the corded phone. But we have both available. We also give out captioning phones, which have the words that come up on the screen so you can read it.
And now, does that do voice recognition to put the words in, or do you have to type them in? Or is it a third party?
Yeah, it's a third party.
Okay.
Yeah, so those phones are, given out in special circumstances. Usually it's people who are deaf that want those, because if you are able to hear a little bit, you will both hear and then the words will come up, and maybe not at the same exact time, so it can kind of throw you off a little bit. Yeah. So we just do an assessment to make sure what works best for that individual, and then we provide that product, and if that's not the one that's working, we'll come back and give them something else. So.
So you make sure that the individual's needs are addressed irregardless of income eligibility, but if they do qualify income-wise, you'll make sure they get the right device. But even if they don't qualify, you'll help them set up the devices they need to purchase on their own, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then those devices, they can keep those devices as long as they need them. Once they're done or they decide that they don't need them anymore, we ask that you return them, because they are state property, but they're available for them to use as long as they need to.
Mm-hmm. And how is this funded? Is it through a fee on our telephone bill?
It is. There's a 10-cent fee that's assessed. It's a special revenue.
For each month. So you're able to generate adequate funds to go to our 182 cities in Montana.
Exactly.
Well, how many staff do you have in order to meet these objectives to travel all over?
Well, we have 2 communication technicians. One works out of Billings and covers the eastern side of the state, and then one works out of Missoula and covers the western side of the state. Mm-hmm. I work here in our office. I do set up some of the phones, so I kind of cover the Helena area. Yeah. But otherwise, we have those 2 technicians, and then we have another person who works in our office that is our administrative person and also handles some of our clients as well.
Okay, well, like I got hearing aids because my sister told me I need some help. I didn't recognize I needed help, but is that pretty common that a third party says, you need a little bit of help? And do they contact you, like a loved one of the person who has hearing problems?
It is quite common for us to hear from a son or a daughter of a client that has recognized this need, whereas the individual may either be in denial or just don't want to tell anybody that they're having a problem. And so we've had so many people, once they've actually gotten our phone and can actually hear, just thank us a million times over for how well it is now to be able to communicate with their loved ones and family and the public when they need to make appointments or things like that. So
and their kids and grandkids.
Exactly. Yeah.
They love to hear from them.
Yeah.
Many times I know they have on the phones now, you can actually see them and you can talk to them and see them in person. That's wonderful.
Yes.
So let's see. So now you need a landline in order to get a lot of these services, right, versus a cell phone?
It is, yes. A lot of our especially our amplified phones do require a landline. They work best that way. Mm-hmm. If they're, everybody's individual situations are different, so our technicians are able to come in and assess and kind of tell them exactly what they might need based on what they're the best thing for them. So for the most part, landlines are usually something that we start with.
Yeah, because it's there and it's reliable and they've got a big network set up. Well, we've drawn to a close on our second segment so soon, Mary. We'll be back for our third one shortly, but we want to encourage everybody to, give a call to the 800 number if you have somebody who's hearing or impaired or they have problems communicating. We do have some solutions, and Montanans want to help these individuals out. So stay tuned. We have a lot more coming.
Gentlemen, this is a secure federal facility. Do you have your Montana Real IDs?
ID. I am Captain Lewis, and this is Captain Clark.
I'm sorry, I can't let you in.
Can't go into a federal facility, can't fly. Let's go back to the river.
Yes, we'll float home. Let me check the Google. What's a dam?
Discover more at mtrealid.gov.
Montana Real ID. It's the real me.
It was a beautiful day. There was about 2 square feet of ice near the door, which I slid on and fell, cracking one rib. And I became somewhat frightening for me to walk outside, particularly in the winter. The Stepping On program came as kind of a surprise to me. I didn't know about it. I've learned the importance of proper balance. I think anybody who has fallen or is afraid of falling would benefit from this program.
3,000-pound walrus? Good insulation. 10-pound Sphinx cat? Bad insulation. Puffed up cardinal? Good insulation. Naked mole rat? Oh, bad insulation. If your home's insulation isn't all that it could be, the Low-Income Energy Assistance Program may be able to help. Call today. You just might be eligible for weatherization assistance, and that could make your nest a little cozier.
It's been 27 years. I never thought I'd still be smoking, but here I am, COPD and all. I'm about to have a granddaughter. There's so much to show her, but I'm scared I won't be able to keep up like I used to. I kind of gave up on myself on quitting. But it's different now. I want to be here for her and for my daughter.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host, Brian Lamore. We're continuing our discussion about the Montana Telecommunications Access Program, or MTAP, that is available to Montanans statewide. They're in 182 cities in Montana. If you have, or a loved one has, problems communicating over the phone or to other individuals. Rejoining us is Mary Taylor. You're the director of MTAP. But let's start at the top. You know, there's a lot of fine-tuning of these services that you provide to people. It's more than just people have outgrown their hearing aids, isn't it? And tell us more about that.
Yeah, so in addition to just, the people that need it for the amplification of the phone, we also have people who come in and they're possibly in a wheelchair and they're unable to use their hands to call somebody. So in some of those circumstances, we're able to provide tablets or different things like that they're able to use to as their speech device. So we've had, I've had an individual just a couple weeks ago that I went out to, and this person did need an amplified phone, and I provided that phone to her, and she couldn't thank me enough about being able to talk to her brother. As one of the few people left that she was able to talk to, but he lives in another state. And so she couldn't believe how exciting it was to just be able to do that. So it's just really, really, we really feel good about going away and knowing that we help somebody be able to just do something that we don't even think about every day. So, and then there's just so many different cases that we've had recently where people were not be able to use, for example, they can't, if some people can't talk well due to a condition like MS or something, we actually have a number that people can call, and we provide a speech-to-speech service where we have trained relay people who can listen to them and understand what they're trying to say and relay that message to the other person. So I mean, there's a vast variety of things that we can offer to people that some people don't even know are out there. And so I'd really encourage people to check out our website and see all those different services that we do offer through relay and otherwise, and give us a call.
Yeah, I had a coworker who had MS, and I got very good at understanding what he was saying, and I became kind of an interpreter for him because you get used to it after a while. So that's why it's so important. But I think a lot of people don't realize the impediments people have to communicate, and not having the device and living at home alone without any communication is really lonely.
It is, and we also have, tablets that we give out that have, you can tap the words to speak for you as well. So there's just a number of things that we can do based on your situation, and try to make sure that you're able to communicate just like anybody else.
Well, that's fascinating, the use of technology and how far it's come in over 30 years that the MTAP has been providing this service to people, and who knows what the future will have. But now, Mary, let's kind of recap how an individual, I guess, through the show they become aware of what is available, but by calling the 800 number or going to the website, an individual with communication issues or a loved one looking out for them or a professional, they can call or hit the website. If they call or if they hit the website, what kind of information do they get just to start the ball rolling?
There's information out there that tells them how to apply, what the eligibility requirements are, just a lot of information about some of the equipment that we offer, and then, like I just mentioned, the different services that we offer through the relay.
Yeah.
So, and we also go out and we attend outreach events, so we go out to a lot of the public events. We were just at an ice hockey game, and we go to wellness fairs and different things. And so we try to get our word out there a number of ways to make sure that people are aware of this program. And so out on our Facebook page, we keep an event list of where we're going to be next. So a good thing to connect with us on Facebook just to see what we're doing out there and possibly go and see what we have to offer right out there, because we'll have all the phones displayed and we'll be able to show them what we have to offer.
You can actually touch them. I know I signed my uncle up for this, and he made more money than make him eligible for the program, but they gave him or informed him about devices that could really help him a lot, and they did. So it's important to note that even if you're not eligible, you're there to help the individuals out, and you go into the home and you assist them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
To figure those things out.
Absolutely.
Well, we looked at the application process during a break, and you don't need a lot of information from these individuals. It is very simple to fill out and apply.
It is very simple. I've had people come in and fill the application out right there, and we could tell them right then whether or not they were eligible. If they had all their information with them, it was very simple. Very simple.
And you can tell them what kind of devices. That's an important thing, too. But now they kind of need a referral from a professional, right? Or they have to have a documented a reason for this.
They do have to have on the application, it does mention that they need to have somebody to verify it. But it could be a hearing specialist, it could be a voc rehab counselor, could be an MTAP staff if we are aware of this person and we've communicated with them enough. But in many cases, it's a licensed physician.
Yeah.
So.
Could it be a frustrated spouse?
Well, that would be an individual decision that we'd have to make.
Yeah, or my sister. Okay, now we're drawing to a close on this show, Marion. Can you give us a little summary of what you do and how you help individuals out?
Yes, so again, we are here really to just help people to be able to communicate who have mobility, speech, deaf or hard of hearing challenges, to be able to communicate on the same level as anybody else through the phone. And so we're just wanting to make sure that that is not something that stands in the way, especially with a lot of disasters happening and things like that. It's going to be very important for people to be able to communicate in any situation, including emergency situations. So. We just hope that if you think that you might qualify for our program, we just really encourage you to give us a call or check us out. And, we're going to help in whatever way we can.
And you'll take it from there. Well, thank you for everything that you do in helping Montanans. And for our viewers, thank you for joining us.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.